All right, that's good. All right, Dad, how about you? You work with a lot of young people in the ministry. So what do you see as our problem in the workplace? What do we struggle with?
Firstly, I love the young people, and that is something that I really enjoy working with, because they are the longevity of the ministry. So we really want to get young people in as quickly as possible. The only problem is they don't have experience. And then you have to train them. And this is the problem that I've seen with young people, is that especially if they come from a home where a father was not evident, or where there was no structure or authority, that when they come in the workplace, they really struggle with structure, with being on time, because they're used to sleeping late.
I struggled with that for years.
Yeah, and so when discipline comes, or disciplinary hearing comes and all that stuff, you try to be gracious, but there is that, I would say, the problem with correction is a big thing in the workplace, because this is what happens, and I've seen it with the young people. The moment they get corrected, they pull back and they keep the creativity now. They don't want to they do as minimum as possible, because they don't want to go out there. And that is the wrong approach. It's like, you must see discipline or correction as your biggest mentor in the workplace, because that's how you grow. The world consists out of problems. The world consists out of mistakes. And people who make money are people who solve problems. So if there's a problem, take it on, take responsibility, learn from it, and become better in that. And then the second thing I see that they struggle with is entitlement. It's like, that's a big thing. I would say that is a problem in the workplace with young people. Entitlement, and then the correction aspect. So, Nikki, those are the two things on the negative side. But honestly, the drive, the passion, the energy they have overrides a lot of those things. And we must always understand that they do not have the experience that we have. I always have that in my mind. It's like they're not seeing what I'm seeing. I've already have 40 years of experience in that area. So I have to come alongside them, train them, let them see what I see. And it can be frustrating, but if they have a teachable spirit, and it takes about the first year or two to get that entitlement out and that correction issues out. After that, it's like they start gelling, and then the thing starts running, and then you get beautiful, beautiful commitment from them. Honestly, beautiful commitment.
Yeah, I think that's true what you're saying, Dad.
Sorry, I'm interrupting you there. The biggest answer that you gave there that I want everybody to take note of is problem solvers are money makers. If you can find a problem in the world, like Uncle Tony said just now, he saw that everybody was struggling with their tax. Now, nobody loves tax, but he said, okay, I can solve this problem. And he went to study it, and he became the best at it. And today he's making money because he solves people's problem, and tax is one of the big problems in the world. Today, there is so many places available to learn anything that you want to learn through YouTube, and through, you guys have got something that we never had, that you can find the solution to any problem on the internet. So all you have to do is find a problem that nobody is solving, and then find how to solve it. And you can do it in your business, in the place that you work, and in your family. And they will always make money if you're a problem solver.
Yeah, problems are everywhere. Everywhere. We live in a world full of problems. I mean, you're solving the internet problem for us. Thank you for giving us fiber in South Africa eventually. So, you're solving a massive problem there for our nation. And everybody solves a problem. So problems are everywhere. The more problems there are, the more income potential there are in the world. So find the problem, solve the problem, and you'll make money. I just want to say this to all the young people. Listen to me. Make enough mistakes in your life, in the beginning years of your life. Don't, feel that you cannot make mistakes when you start a business. I'm talking about starting business now.
Yeah.
Go out, do the risk, fail, get up again, learn from the mistake. Eventually, you will have so much experience from the mistakes you've made if you start your own business. For the entrepreneurs out there, is don't judge yourself, don't condemn yourself if you failed. Uncle Hannes said there, he said he failed 8 times in business. I'm not sure, Uncle Tony, how many times he failed in business, But we all get up. All get up. I failed in
Absolutely.
planting churches. I failed in planting businesses. I tried coffee shops. Nothing worked like that. Nothing worked for me in that area. So you keep on trying. You keep on getting up, get up, get up, get up. Eventually you find that sweet spot. And now I can speak to you because of all the mistakes I've made in my life. Otherwise, I had no credibility to speak to you.
Yes.
So make enough mistakes when you're young in business and learn from them, because mistakes is income.
Yeah.
Eventually, you'll find it.
Yeah, no, that's very good.
And Dad, if I can add to that, we say we are not measured by the number of times we fall. We're measured by the number of times we fall and get up and keep going.
Yep.
No, that's very powerful.
Can I add this, Tony and Hannes? Here is the thing, and all the entrepreneurs on this call, listen to this. You must make enough mistakes, get up. But here's the second thing. You must have a level of pain tolerance in business.
Yes.
If you can't handle pain, and because, isn't it right? I mean, it's costing you, and it is
pain,
painful.
no gain.
No.
Exactly, no pain, no gain. So pain, you need to have a level of pain tolerance in business. Otherwise, don't even start a business. You need to have some boldness to make that thing.
Yeah.
I mean,
your level of pain endurance will give you your level of success. However much pain you can endure, because the bigger the business is, the more pain there is, the more people problems you have, and the more issues you have. And your level of tolerance for trouble will determine your level of success.
Come on,
that's very good.
But if I can also say, Pastor Hannes, you know, a lot of cliches we deal with. You know, coal to diamonds is pressure. And I'm just reminded, when I was a youngster, there was a boxer called Arnold Taylor. Arnold Taylor in the boxing ring in a bantam fight took a hiding for 14 rounds and got a lucky punch in the 14th round and knocked the other guy out. His name was Romeo Anaya. He was so punch drunk and concussed with the boxing, 8 months later was killed on a motorcycle in an accident. So you got to be wise when you ask for pressure and you ask for pain. Stay with God and ask Him to help you get through the pain.
Absolutely.
Because your destiny requires longevity. You're not measured by being buried at 21. You're measured by being buried at 101.
Yes.
Because then people recognize what your life looked like.
Absolutely.
Wow, that's powerful.
Very good.
I think let's go to the next question, and that is, if you're a youngster, you know, ages 17 to 23 is mostly on you, you have a lot of decisions to make. So some of it is like, do I continue studying? Do I go for a gap year? Do I just go straight into the workplace? And you have a lot of decisions to make, right? Do I buy a car now, or do I put it into a house? What do I do? So what I would like to ask is, if you look at the generation of today, the South Africa that we're in today, what would you advise an 18-year-old that's going out of school now, and what would you advise him to do? Start a business immediately, or go find a job, or go study? What would you guys say is the best way to set up your future? Let's start with Pastor Hannes on this one.
And there's obviously not a blanket answer, because everybody's situation is different. Let's just say some principles. Number one, worldwide, people with a degree earn more than people without a degree. That's just a fact in the world. So the high earners, a big percentage of them do have a degree. But the very high earners do not necessarily have a qualification. If you look at the ultra rich, they don't always have a qualification. Many of them are self-taught and so on. So there, you've got to choose the way that works for you. For me, I went to study part-time. I'm a great believer of studying part-time, of doing work and studying at the same time, because then your studies mean something for you. I learned in the daytime, I had some stock to value as a stock clerk, the lowest of the low in the small company. And in the evening, in the class of accounting, they teach us how to value stock. So whatever I learned, I could argue with the teacher and saying, but that doesn't work in real life. So real life experience while you're studying is invaluable. It's not the easiest way, but it's something that I've put a lot of value to. Is work, make some money, and study. And there is huge opportunities today for you guys to earn money on the internet while you are studying, which you can work whatever hours suit you and so on. So it's not either or. For me, it's a combination of studies and working, because then if you pay for your own studies, you really are committed to make it pass and get your assignments in and let it happen, because you are paying for it yourself. And then I can say there's no age that is too young to start a business. When I came to Joburg and I went on my estate agency course in the early 2000s, the person that year did the most sales in estate agency in Johannesburg was 16 years old. He was 16 years old. His mom had to drive him to appointments to see clients, and he did more sales after school than what any full-time agent made in the whole of Johannesburg. So there is no limit in jobs. Estate agency is a 7-week course. You can qualify as an estate agent within 7 weeks, and you can start earning money from the age of 16. So I'm not saying you must become an estate agent. I'm just saying there's opportunities available that doesn't take a 3-year degree, where you can sell a house and make 100, 200,000 Rand commission on one Sunday afternoon. But that is just some of the opportunities that is there. Don't think either or, think how do I combine them?
That's good. Uncle Tony, let's go to you.
I think the important thing to remember is your gift will take you where your character can't keep you. And if you read your Bible, God's only interested in your character.
Amen. Yes.
So all the hidings I've got in my life have been because my character wasn't up to scratch. So whoever you get involved with, if it's a wife, if it's a father-in-law, if it's a business, if it's an employer, your character is going to be tested in every process.
Sure.
And the only way you win character is to stay on your knees and keep repenting.
That's powerful. And how about you, Dad?
Yeah, I'm with Hannes on this one. Is that I think you need to study. If you have that gifting upon your life, and go and be the doctor, be the accountant, be the CA, whatever you feel God has called you to do, and you can make a success out of that, whatever you have studied, But on the same time, I want to lean towards what Hannes is saying about the short courses. I'm a firm believer of that. Is that work while you study, and do the short courses. I want to encourage every single young person, and I know you're going to now laugh at me and say, no, that's not true. But I would like to encourage you to do a short accounting course for your life, whether it's just a 6-week or 8-week or 12 weeks, because you're going to work with money. Whether it's just your salary, whether it's your income, your business, whatever, you're always going to have money in your hands. And if you can just have the basic ideas of what is a credit, what is a debit, what is a financial statement look like, what is an auditing report look like, what is taxes, all that stuff. Because I tell you right now, those are the things you're going to need in your life. You need to have the basics of accounting. And I'm not talking about the school accounting. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about proper financial accounting courses. Wherever you can, go and attend those things. Go to conferences. Invest in conferences. Invest in all those things. So for me, that is very, very important. You know what Tony say on the character side? That is it's so much wisdom there, because you can be so gifted and have a bad character. And I'm telling you now, then you can have the degree on the wall and you will have no clients. Nobody will come because your character will not sustain your company because you have a bad character flaw.
Sure.
So through all the mistakes, through all the problems, through all life's journeys, I want to say this: do the short courses, do the things, and get equipped on that. I want to speak to the 17-year-olds and 18-year-olds. Let me give you some advice quickly. Start focusing 30 minutes a day to 60 minutes, 30 to 60 minutes a day on what you want to do one day. Read up on that. Listen to a YouTube channel on that. Watch a program on that on Netflix or whatever. But you need to start focusing your mind on what you want to do. If you say, I want to be a doctor, one day, and you are not watching programs, you're not reading books on the anatomy and all that stuff, you're going to struggle. So you need to start really 30 minutes to 60 minutes per day. You start working on that and schedule that in your diary to do that. And then when you do projects at your school, do projects that is lined up with your passion that you want to go and do one day. Because there you have free resources. You have all the people there, and ask the questions. Ask the teacher the questions. And if you are in college, ask the professor or the lecturer the questions, because you're going to need mentors in your life. And at your age, you have free mentorship. They are called teachers and professors and lecturers, and use the library, use the internet, use their resources. And here's what I want to give you some advice on. When you do an article about somebody that's successful. So I'm going to throw Tony and Hannes now into the deep waters here. But if I was a young person sitting on a thing like this, I would say, I want to know a little bit more about finances or whatever. I'm going to schedule an interview with Hannes. And then you go and sit with Hannes and you ask 3 or 4 questions that will help you in your life to get to the top. That's how you meet influential people. That's how you get wisdom. That's how you get mentorship. And we as older people, we love young people. We want to invest in you. We want to help you. And we need to bridge that gap by doing interviews, blogs, come with your vlog, come and do those things, but do get connected to mentors in your life. Mentorship is everything. I'm telling you today, you need to ask the questions. You need to have people that can help you to become successful.
Yeah, well, that's very good, Dad. I want to ask another question, and this I find happens a lot with young people, is that we go and we study for 3 or 4 years, and then we go and we get a job, and then for the first time in our lives, we get paid. We get a paycheck, right? And so the first month or second month, you blow that paycheck out of the waters because you have no idea what to do with it, right? You've never been taught. I mean, the 4 years that you were in college, they never told you how to budget or how to properly invest your money. So I think I want to start there with Uncle Tony and just ask the question, how should young people be budgeting? What should they be investing into? What's the kind of things that they should be using their money for, that they work so hard? Because here's what I realize with both of you here tonight. You're not getting paid once a month. It sounds like there's no such thing as just getting paid 12 times a year. You're getting paid a lot more than that. And so how do you work with that money? How do you multiply it? How do you make it better? I think that's a question a lot of young people have, is how can I make my financial literacy better and expand my money, make it better at the end of the day? So Uncle Tony, why don't you help us a bit with that?
Nicky, if I can answer you like this. I mentioned to Dad yesterday that for the last 10 years, I've been watching my clients, those who tithe, getting stronger, better, and those who don't tithe, getting worse and out of business. So I mentioned earlier that at the age of 12, I started reading Proverbs. The book of Proverbs talks about tithing. So it wasn't difficult. When I got saved, I knew I was going to be a tither. I've been tithing since May 1984. Now they call me lucky, and it's not luck.
No.
It's the fact that if you follow the word in your work and you apply yourself diligently with what you do,
come on,
the reward will come.
Yeah, Thank you, Uncle Tony.
Principle of the
Pastor Hannes, how about you?
Yeah, I had that also as one of my notes, is that if I had to say something to myself as a young person, then I would say you should have started tithing long ago. Finance, your tithing does not depend on your finances. Your finances depend on your tithing.
That's right.
I always thought I'm going to start tithing when I earn enough.
No.
But that day never comes. That day never, ever comes. And the smaller the amount is that you have to tithe on, the easier it is to learn the principle. If you only have 100 Rand, then you tithe 10 Rand. What's 10 Rand? It's not going to hurt you. But when you have to tithe 100,000 Rand or tithe 50,000 Rand, if you didn't do it when it was 10 bucks, I promise you now, you will not get it over your heart to do it when it's a big amount. That's why I'd learn to tithe as young as possible and learn to save as young as possible. The amount isn't important. It is a percentage, and you've set it aside from the time that you're still getting a stipend or a allowance. Start saving a little bit of it. It will grow and grow and grow. Rather than talking about where to invest, just make sure that you are investing, that you are saving. Then the second question later on comes about where do we invest. But people have never learned how to save, but they'd like to invest in a company or they'd like to invest in property, but they haven't learned how to budget or manage their finances. Then I can promise you property is going to hurt you. Property is going to burn you. Property is going to mess you up if you haven't learned the disciplines right early on in life. So learn to save and learn to tithe.
Also, I'm just going to just add to that. I've seen tithers get into trouble because they didn't trust the prayers that they gave to God. They went and trusted a man. And I'm talking about people who got liquidated, sequestrated, tithers that have lived in jail for 5 and 10 years because they didn't follow the word of their confession.
Yes.
So the bottom line is you haven't got integrity unless you hold within yourself. Wow. And the man who steps out and trusts God first, God will honor. But the man who listens to a man will get followed, will be chased down by the men that he listened to. So it's a simple question. Do I trust God or don't I trust God?
Amen. Amen. Very powerful.
Let me tell the young people here now on this call, is that you're listening to two successful businessmen.
Yeah.
Successful. How did they get here? It's the principle of the tithe. And I know that you say, I know that. Are you practicing that? Do it now. Start now at a young age. Then you will never depart from it. You will never have a problem in that. I've never had a problem, not never. When I got saved, reborn, I never had a problem with tithes. Up till today, I can't wait in the mornings to wake up every day of my life and just sow a seed into the house of God. It is the most wonderful thing that I can do. And also saving. And then, start seeing where you can where you can invest into smaller things so that you can eventually get a return on that. I know when Nicky started working, I said to him, Nicky, I don't care what you do, but you're going to take a pension fund. That's it. And he's like, Dad, but I'm still young. Trust Dad. You need a pension fund when you the first thing you're gonna open, and you're not gonna close that because you're gonna need it later in your life. It's a long-term investment, but let me tell you this, Tony, how many people cannot retire today? You said yesterday to me, what was it?
Only 6 out of 100 people can afford to retire.
Yeah. Wow.
And it's not a difficult question because the day before you retired, if you get 100% income, you've got to have 75% of that in the bank for the next 20 years. Only 6 out of 100 people.
Exactly. So we all want to invest in properties and stuff, but invest in a pension, a fund. That's what I would have done earlier in my life. I would have done that. That was, if I look back, that was a mistake I made. I opened one, but I closed it because I could spend the money on shoes and clothes and stuff. And now I'm old, and now it's like, I should have not, because I can't even remember what I bought with that money. And, you know, so I invest in properties, I invest in the investment market, stock markets, you know, we buy things. And so we invest in various things, but you get aggressive investments, you get traditional or conservative investments. Do both. Don't put your eggs all just in one basket. Play around, and you'll start seeing how your money starts working for you. And what Nikki said in the beginning is very important. And tomorrow night we'll speak on this, is how to get your passive income to cover your expenses. How do you know when you are rich? Is when your passive income overrides your expenses. Then you are rich. Up till that point, you're going to pay a lot of money in your life. So what I want to tell every young person, tithe, get that principle right. And then from everything you earn, if you only get pocket money now, you tithe 10%. If you are in business or you work, you tithe. Start now. Don't wait for one day. And then save in whatever aspect you want for your life. Save in that area. If I look back now, we saved money for Nikki and Michal. And this is how Mom and myself saved. We said, how much will a car cost for Nikki, when he turns 18? So we looked at a Hyundai i20, and we saw, it's going to cost 220,000 Rand when he reaches 18 years old. He's now in grade 7. So we're going to make a loan. Now listen to this. We're going to make a loan to pay 220,000 Rand off. But we didn't make a loan. We said, how much will a loan of 220,000 Rand cost if we finance a car? So the monthly payment was 2,600 Rand. So instead of paying something, we took 2,600 Rand as if we are paying a car and put that into an investment account. So 5 years later, when Nikki turned 18, I bought his car cash through the savings I did. And now I had interest on top of that money for 5 years. And I invested it into a policy that paid out after 5 years. And then did the same with Michal. How much will Michal's car cost? We took that monthly payment that we would have paid, put it in an investment policy, paid out after 5 years. And that's how we bought our children's cars cash. And that's how we set them up. If I look back now, I would have rather invested money in property for them and give them each a property at the age of 18 instead of a car. So I made a mistake there. I would have, if I could do my life over again, I would do that. Save money for my children to give them a house when they get married or something like that. So that is some investments that I would have done differently. And for you, you must write it down, because one day when your kids come and you get married, you need to start saving for them. They are a lot of money. You all know you cost a lot of money. And so the parents can learn from that. Are you going?
Amen. Let me ask just this one question, or I've got two more questions, right? Mm-hmm. The one question is now about property. What is your advice on property? Because I know that all three of you have some investment properties. What are some of the things you've learned throughout the years and things that we as young people can look out for when we want to start investing in property? Just maybe give us some advice in that. I want to start there with Uncle Tony again.
Property, God only made once. Which means there's only 3 rules to property purchases: position, position, position. So when you're buying property, you got to buy the best property you can get for the best price. You're not allowed to rob the bank. You're not allowed to lose your family, and you're not allowed to lose your faith. You got to continue based on what you can do within your budget.
Okay.
Say that again. I like that.
That's very good advice.
Don't use your faith. Don't use the bank. Don't rob the bank.
Don't rob the bank. Don't lose your family, and don't lose your faith.
Right.
Wow. Yeah. Amen. That's very good. Pastor Hannes, from your side in property?
I think the important thing that nobody told me about property, and I really burnt my fingers with this, we moved into our first property the day we got married, the same day we moved into our first owned property. When we bought the property, the interest rate was 12%. By the time we moved in, it was 21%. That means that the payment more than doubled in the period that it took to register the property. And that's an extreme situation of 1988, but it can happen at any time again. Right now, we're at historical low properties. If you're going to invest in property, make sure it's not something that you can just afford at the current interest rates, because interest rates might change tomorrow. And understand that properties interest rates fluctuate, and you've got to be able to pay even the fluctuated property. We can go into fixed interest rates and so on or not, but I don't want to do that for now. I just want to say this thing, expect your payment to go up even by 30%. Will I still be able to afford it? And if you can say that, yes, then invest in property. Don't invest at when interest rates are low at your maximum, because you will burn your fingers. I've got that t-shirt. I bought a whole lot of property when the interest rates were very low, and it is an awful thing to see what happens then. So really invest in property, but do it carefully. It is one thing that will always stand there. You can always go to it. You can touch it. Things like Bitcoin and the shares and so on can disappear overnight, but property cannot disappear, but it can, the cost can jump up suddenly beyond what you can imagine. But property is the one thing that separates those that are really wealthy. Nearly all of them has major property portfolios. So start young with a small property and let it build on from there.
Okay, that's good advice. You
Very
don't?
good. No, I agree 100%. Buy the cheapest house in the best area.
Yes, amen.
Get in there. Don't look for the best house and the most beautiful house in the most beautiful area. Go and look for the ugliest house, the most terrible house. Buy it, but buy it in the right area, and then start revamping that, and you'll sell it for a profit like ridiculous. So invest in that position. Position yourself. Well, position. What Tony said. It's all about that. And then, like Hannes said, you need to know how to handle property, and you need to know how to work that. That can be a terrible thing if it goes wrong. Tomorrow night, we will speak about that. I've got another guest on tomorrow night that has a big property portfolio that will help all of you to structure that at a young age.
Yeah.
Because that is very important for you to understand how to do it. If I can tell you, try to get property as early as possible in your life, and get in there and start working that, you know.
Let's end off with the last question. All three of you are looking back, and you're looking at 23-year-old Hannes, 23-year-old Tony, and 23-year-old Nikki. What is your advice, and what would you tell them to change at that age? Let's start there with Pastor Hannes, maybe.
I would say one of the most important things that I saw a massive difference in my life is when I embraced a father-son relationship with dad. Just the fact that you have somebody that you can go to with your day-to-day issues changes your whole financial position. So father-son relationship. Number 2, tithe. I should have started tithing long ago. Sow into your spiritual father situation, because that just opens up the blessing. Then I want to say that if you are deciding to be a kingdom financier, it doesn't matter if you're working for somebody or if you're in business. Once you know and you've made that decision, business will come, opportunities will come, and you will be able to recognize them. I see one of the questions are saying, is opportunities based on your geographic position, or is it in the country? You guys have got an advantage that we never had, and you have the internet. You can do business in Dubai while sitting in Joburg. You can do business in America while sitting here. You can do business in China while sitting here. So don't be limited by your circumstances. God is your provider, not your circumstances. So the process of absolutely dreaming big, thinking big, and we always were brought up just have enough to meet our needs. If you just have enough to meet your needs, you cannot meet the needs of the church or the kingdom of God. So you have to think, well, I have to think big because God is looking for financiers. So what I would have told the young Hannes is to have a vision beyond of just money, to have a why do you want to have money? Why do you want to do this? It's because God is looking for people to finance his kingdom. And I would have raised my hands for that job much younger if I had the opportunity.
That's powerful. Uncle Tony?
Nikki, I didn't know at the age of 23 that I just had to open the book of Psalms and go and look at Psalm 37. Because Psalm 37 says, Tony, dwell in this land and cultivate. Tony, trust God and he will do it. Tony, delight yourself in God, amen, and he will do it.
Sure.
It took 15 years to get to that point.
Wow.
And if I look back at 23, my life would have been a lot easier. Because a man who walks with God gets a lot more done than a man who walks by himself.
Hey, that's good. Yeah, very good. All right, Dan, let's close the night off with your...
I can just say amen to what they say. But, you know, if I look back at Nikki at 23, that was when I got married with Mom. And all the mistakes I've made financially back then was just like stupid things, you know. And if I look back, I would tell myself, don't impress your friends with the stuff you're trying to have and live this lawless life, because that's all it was. Is you want to impress people, and you spend your money on brides, and you spend your money on parties, and you spend your money on clothes, and you're really not accumulating nothing for yourself, you know. And so I wasted money. I wasted money. I first bought my first property at the age of 32. Think about that. How old were you when you bought your first property?
23.
23. So look at that, just because of financial literacy. And then I would have got a mentor in my life. I honestly believe in mentorship at that age. And I had people in my life, I just didn't listen to them. And, and I didn't tithe. That was one of the things that caused me to lose everything in my life. I lost everything in my life, my house, my car, my furniture. We ended up as homeless people because of that principle. And when the Lord spoke to me, he says, I will teach you how to make profit. The very first thing the Lord said to me is, I'll teach you how to give. And that's ever since been my life. So I would tell myself back then, don't think because I grew up in a Christian home, right? You all know my history. The greatest revivalist of the world, my dad, but I never tithe. And so I would tell myself that thing, tithe, stay committed in the house of the Lord, surround yourself with mentors, and don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to take risks in your life. Just go for it. And that's what I would tell myself, son. And not to impress people.
Wow. Thank you so much, Dad, Uncle Tony, and Pastor Hannes, for your time tonight and for giving it to the young people. Now, the worst thing would be for you guys to get off of this call today and be the same tomorrow. And you have done nothing with the information and the wisdom that you've received. So make sure that everything that you received tonight, you put to practice in your life, and that in 10 years from now, you don't say, I wish I listened on that call. And then 20 years later, you say, man, I'm still stuck. And you're on the same calls, but you never apply anything. So I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for joining tonight, Uncle Tony, Pastor Hannes, and Dad. Thank you so much for your time. If we can please give them a hand clap on Zoom. If you can put your hand emoji there in the comment section, we'd appreciate it. I see RCI Youth. Thank you guys for joining us. JCJ Ministries, thank you for being here. And everybody else that joined us tonight, thank you so much. We really love you guys and appreciate you so much.
And tomorrow night.
Yes, tomorrow night, 6:30, we're starting again. And we've got 2 other guests coming on for an hour. And we're going to spend some time in how to start your business, how to look into property especially. We've got a great Guy on Property tomorrow night. So tomorrow night is the night to tune in as well.
And Uncle Tony and Uncle Hannes can join in if they want to. They just have to change their ID numbers, right? We really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.
Tony and Hannes.
But I am 21 anyway, so I'm allowed to do that.
I'm also 21 with a bit of interest.
We'll see you guys tomorrow night. Thank you, everybody.
Good night. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Well, we know that you had an amazing time watching this video, so why don't you make sure you watch the next video over here? Well, we know that you love 418 Ministry and we love you back, so make sure you follow us on our social media platforms and catch us for our next video. We can't wait to see you there.